Hey, what's up, Joe Joe in the morning family? I hope you are ready for another great week, another phenomenal week. Today, we are going to start a new series for this week, and we are going to talk about the flow. Probably the number one question that I get asked from people all the time is, Joe, how do you flow in life with everything that you got going on? You and Autumn got 3 kids, businesses, ministries. How do you flow? How do you get everything done? And it's simple. It takes a while to get there, but there is a prophetic flow that you can have in your life that will lead you straight into everything that God has called you to do. You can do everything God has called you to do. You can fulfill all the dreams, goals, aspirations, desires of your heart. There's no limit to God in anything. There's no limit to how many people you can lead to the Lord, how many people you can see healed, how healthy you can be, how much finances you can make, how much finances you can give. There's just no limit. But you do have to learn how to flow. You have to get into a prophetic flow. And as you get into this, you will learn what's of God, what's not, what to chalk up as experience and a learning experience. But you really learn how to get in and flow with the Lord. And when you start flowing with the Lord, man, everything starts to... My co-host today. All right. You ever been kayaking or canoeing and you're not an expert at it or anything, and you get in and it's kind of rough and you're kind of going like this, and then all of a sudden you get into a flow, and you're in perfect sync with the way that the river or the stream is flowing, and you just kind of get in there, and all of a sudden things just pan out, things just start working. That's how you're going to start stewarding your life. All right. So let's get into this first scripture, Galatians 6, 4, and 5. Make a careful exploration of who you are in the work that you have been given. You look at yourself, and you need to explore every single thing God has told you to do. God has given you, I'm not talking about anybody else but you. God has given you prophetic words, dreams, goals, and they will always match your gifts, talents, and abilities. Okay? You examine yourself and the work that you have been given. Then the scripture says, and then sink yourself into that. Galatians 6, 4, and 5. Okay? Now, after it says sink yourself into that, I love the next part. Don't be impressed with yourself. You would not be impressed with yourself if you failed, would you? No. Why does the Bible say don't be impressed with yourself? And I'll tell you why. If you carefully examine yourself in the work that you have been given, and then you completely throw your life into it, God knows you're going to be successful. That's it. There is no way that you can take a true evaluation of your life, a true evaluation of your gifts, talents, and abilities and resources, and really examine what God has called you to and not be successful. That's why it says don't be impressed with yourself. And then it says, don't compare yourself with others. The greatest way to kill something special is to compare it to something else. You should never compare what is yours to anybody else. Stay in your lane. I've seen so many people compare their life, their family, their ministry, their business to other people's, and it really frustrates them. Know what God has called you to do and do it. Examine what the Lord has called you to do and flow in that. Learn to flow. See, if you're trying to flow in other people's callings, in other people's lanes, if you're trying to flow in other people's rivers and streams, it just does not work. You've got to learn to flow according to you. I don't put my nose in other people's business. I really don't watch the news. I don't know a lot about what's going on in a lot of things, but I can tell you one thing. I know what Joe Joe Dawson's called to do, and I'm absolutely slaying that. I'm doing exactly what I'm called to do, and I'm doing a good job at it because I've set myself apart to flow in the prophetic call that God has on my life, and I flow prophetically with everything that He's given me to do. Okay? Let's finish that scripture. Each of you must take responsibility for doing your creative best with your own life. Okay? Let's read that scripture all the way through. Okay? Make a careful exploration of who you are in the work you have been given, and then sink yourself into that. Don't be impressed with yourself. Don't compare yourself with others. Each of you must take responsibility for doing the creative best you can with your own life. So I want you to look at your own life right now. I want you to examine your life. Where are you at? What changes do you need to make? Do you need to work on one of your skills? Do you need to fine-tune something? Do you need to, is it a spiritual thing? Is it a natural thing? How are you going to get into the flow? I know some of the most gifted people I know in the world aren't doing anything because there's no flow. Then I know some people who are ready to go and flow and just move, but they've never spent any time naturally fine-tuning any of their gifts. And so both of those are an error. But there is a sweet spot in the middle that you can find, that you'll find your flow in life. I tell people all the time, find your flow and you will enjoy life like you never could even imagine. Okay? Next scripture, Proverbs 4:23. So above all, guard the affections of your heart, for they affect all that you are. Pay attention to the innermost being, for what flows out of the center parts of your heart. Okay? From out of the center parts of your heart, the innermost parts of your being, are the well springs of life. And so I want to ask you about this. What is flowing out of your life right now? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it trauma? Is it hurt? Is it joy? Is it peace? What's flowing out of your life? What's flowing from you? Whatever you do, however you process your day, is how things are going to flow out of your life to impact people. I love watching people who do things that they are super good at and they enjoy what they're doing. My dad would always tell me, he said, son, I absolutely love what I do. And he said, when you find what you want to do with your life and you know what you're called to do, you will never actually work a day in your life because you won't mind what you're doing. So I tell people all the time, I go to my dream every day. Autumn and I have created the life that we want to live, that we know is pleasing to God, and that's what we do. We do what we're called to do, and we move in it. And by moving in it, everything starts to change. We've looked at our life. We've examined our life. We've looked at our gifts, talents, and abilities. Prophetic words that we haven't fully tapped into yet. We take, when we inspect them and we look and we figured out what needs to go where and how to manage our time and our friendships and family, and putting it all together, it just works. Because we want to flow. There's a lot of people's life, they look like bumper cars. They ain't got no flow to their life. I've seen people who have one kid and they cannot manage that one kid. And then I've gone to church with people who have 6 kids, 7 kids, and they all walk in perfect. I've seen people who have a minimum wage job and they're stressed. I know people, I was talking to a guy not long ago in Texarkana, and I said, hey man, what you got going on today? He said, oh, kind of taking it easy. Went out to one of my places, kind of rode my tractor around, did a little bush hogging, and I'm like, okay. Talking to him. This man has 250 employees that work for him every day. He said, got up, prayed, had my coffee, went in for about an hour, had meetings with all my supervisors and sent everybody out and all the employees, spoke to everybody. And I just thought, hey, I'll just go to my place the rest of the day, kind of bush hog a little bit. I got some stuff that needs to be bush hogged. And I was thinking, like, bro, you got 250 employees. Somebody could have bush hogged. You could have done something else. But he's built this massive business. And so there's a flow to his life. And now he just kind of does what he wants to do. He just manages. He's found a flow. And talking about finances and different things, you can get time freedom. Find out how to get time freedom in your life. Okay? And when you start flowing with God, one thing Autumn and I wanted to do, this is not for everybody, but Autumn and I, we wanted to build our life that would at any given moment, we could just take off. I've had some different people say, hey, when revival breaks out in my church, could you be on the next flight tomorrow? I said, sure. I got different people who have, different type of ministries, and they're like, hey, could you come to our studio within a 24-hour period? I said, yeah. I've done some of those. People just called, hey, I need you on a flight tomorrow. I'm good. We've got in a flow to our life that we can do that. My wife, she takes some trips and vacations, and her and my daughters love to take girl trips, and then she's got a group of ladies that they go on trips together, and she's free to do that. We've learned how to flow in our life to where we can go. I can travel, preach 2-3 days a week, travel different places, come back. We can do that. Why? We have built a flow to our life according to what God has called us to. When you get in a flow, you can manage so much. Miles Monroe always said, you can have what you can manage. Learn to flow in your life. In your life. You can have whatever you want. You can give whatever you want. You can impact as many people as you want to. But until you learn to flow, you're going to be bumper cars, baby. You're not going to have it figured out. Get in there with the Lord. Find out exactly what He's called you to do. Throw your life into it and start flowing with the prophetic call that He has for you, okay? Love you guys. Hope you'll have a blessed day.